Good. So the other bit I'm really passionate about is socioeconomic, and the reason for that, in my story. So I left school when I was 16. Don't have an A level, my name, don't have a degree, but just worked really hard. I did do post GCSE education. So actually, when I say I haven't got an A level, that's a lie. I did do an Open University A level in accounting, but and I did loads of stuff in CIPD. So I had a background in HR. I did my CIPD level 5, which is equivalent to a mini degree. So all of that I did post and getting a job and just working. Both my parents, strong working class background. Nobody in my family's ever been to university. But I just worked hard and learned on the job. And interestingly, through my career, where I've got most of my growth, learning and inspiration is from female leaders and females who have backed me, and males, to be fair, but people who've believed in me and allowed me to grow and develop and nurture. And for a really long time, I would be embarrassed that I hadn't been to university and that I hadn't got a degree. And probably only about 10 years ago, like, I totally owned that. And my story behind that is, I remember when I was 21, so I'd already been working for 5 years, and somebody who I went to school with, they'd been to uni, they went and done their travels, they got back in touch, and they came to work for me in my department. I was leading a team of 25 people. I had an unbelievable amount of debt. I had my own flat, I had a car, and I was like, actually, I've done all right. I'm a manager in a company. I've had 7 different jobs in this company. I've grown up in it. So, that's, I think that in the industry that we work in, there is a risk that we look for people who have, a degree background or experience, and actually, particularly at that grad level and entry level and apprenticeships and so on, I'm super passionate about that. And I think that is a great way for, people to get into the workplace. Really great way. I've also got a 15-year-old daughter, and she's like, do I go to uni, mum, or don't I? And I was like, well, let me tell you my story, Maisie. I haven't been to uni, and I'm the career one. And my husband went to uni, got a history degree, and he fixes bikes, and he loves it. But doesn't, that where you've started your journey, I don't think matters. And then I think so. Early part of my career, I just worked for a local company. I did 7 different jobs. I worked my way up. So I did a bit of payroll, I did finance, I did HR, I went into operations. It was everything. It was such a good place to grow as a in a workforce, and actually that's probably my earliest experience of what today we would call digital transformation. It was not called that at the time, but I worked on Cancer Research UK was our account, and we worked on Race for Life, which is obviously huge female 5K, and it was at its period of growth. So it went crazy in the 5 years that I was working on it. And we moved from, everybody entered Race for Life by filling in a form, and they posted it in. We captured all the data, and we sent them a pack and a number and all of that kind of thing. And actually what we did is said we could put this online. Like, we could have a website. And this is like, God, I don't know, 25 years ago, like a really long time ago. And that was my first experience of tech, digital transformation. And I sat with the developer who wrote the code, and I said, that doesn't work, please can we do this? And also I remember at the time we had a contact center, and we take queries from participants who were calling in, and we didn't have front end to that data. We wrote the postcode into a SQL query to get the data. It's like, there's probably like an easier way to do this. Should we and the developer sort of give you this screen? That would be amazing. So yeah, that was my kind of first experience of digital tech, you know, we didn't call it tech transformation, we didn't call it digital transformation, we were just putting some stuff online for people. And that, you know, was a great learning curve for me. And then I left there to join Cancer Research UK, actually. So that was because I worked on their account, and I was in a senior role when I left that company, but there was nowhere to go. But I moved to Cancer Research UK. It was head of ops in their events division. And again, we were doing loads of projects that were transforming stuff within tech. So once we'd done it for Race for Life, then we had 10K events that we were putting online. And my team really, the only thing I didn't do was deliver the events. So we looked after all of the back office in terms of the websites, the systems, the operations, the contact centers. All of that was kind of in my domain. And then from that role, I moved into probably my first, and we had project managers and delivery teams and so on, but my first true broader transformation, more strategic transformation at Cancer Research UK. So we set up a big program. We wanted to deepen our relationships with our supporters, so that we could get more fundraising, so we could beat cancer. You know, we were in the fundraising director. Our job was to raise money, and really amazing organization to work for, obviously, but its purpose, it was I think there's sometimes a perception of charities that they work in a certain way, and they're quite you know, they're not necessarily very innovative, or they're quite slow, and that was not my experience at Cancer Research UK at all. You know, when I was there, we were £500 million company. Wow. That's how much fundraising we were doing. We were very commercial, very focused, very driven, and a real, from a leadership point of view, very balanced, very diverse, made for a great organization. And we did a massive transformation to change all of their underlying technologies, with the intent of, you know, having that better relationship with our supporters. Everything was separated, whether you were a Race for Life participant, or whether you were £2 a month giver, or whether you were someone raising in the community. And we really kind of brought all of that together and transformed. That was my first experience of Agile. Again, probably 20 years ago. And I remember there was one guy in the team, our solution architect. He was a contractor. He was amazing. And he said, I think we need to be delivering in a different way. We've done the first phase. It wasn't great. We could have done better. And he said, I think we should embark on this new way of doing things called Agile. I totally bought into it. We paused the program for a week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've got 100 people, that's a lot of money. And we completely changed the way that we operated, and it was much better. You know, the testers were interacting with the developers. There was so much less barriers. We were focused on making sure that we got input from users much earlier. So, and I still remember to this day going to HR saying, we've got to recruit a Scrum Master. And they were like, what? You can't call somebody that? I was like, you can. And now I just think, well, that's just all just normal. But we were at, you know, certainly for the charity sector, cutting edge in terms of embarking on that Agile delivery. And it took a lot of bravery, I think, to pause after the end of the first phase and really change the way that we were going to work as a program, and just getting the delivery. Learned so much on that program, so much I would do differently now, you know, which I've carried on into the rest of what I've done, really. And then leaving Cancer Research UK, went for a small time to a company called 2E2, which was a tech transformation company. Culturally, absolutely not the right move for me. I had some interesting projects. We did a big shared CRM implementation across 3 North London Borough Councils. That was fascinating. And even like my passion isn't tech or digital. My passion is people, because actually it's about getting people together to make the change. and to do things differently and to get buy-in and overcome resistance to change, because that's, for me, the tech can be amazing, but if you haven't got the people there, so a big part of what I learned there was around really difficult senior stakeholder engagement and getting people over the line around what we were doing, what we were trying to do. And then I did a complete swap into insurance, so completely different, mainly because it was local. My daughter was going to school. I didn't want to be traveling to London again. And I went to a small car insurer in Sussex called First Central.
Yeah.
They were a growing company, born agile actually, which was really interesting. So really kind of innovative tech. So they did have platforms that they had bought initially to do all of our insurance customer management, but then we developed our own from scratch. So that was super exciting to be part of that. But yeah, born agile. We didn't even need to, it was just, everything was iterative. Let's try it, let's build it, let's change it. And a fast growing company, but quite not very diverse on the leadership front. So board level and even exco level, when I was there, all middle-aged men, all white middle-aged men, every single one, 15 people plus, all that dynamic. And actually what I tried to push there, so it was 3 of us at like what they called exco -1. Oh god, terrible term, but that next layer down, and we created an extended leadership team of which me and 2 other women were part of, and our agenda was to push that diversity. And probably 2 months after I left, those 2 women got promoted to the exco, which was amazing, like brilliant. They're still there. I'm still really good friends with them. And it's changed I think it's made the company better and more diverse and more balanced, which is fantastic. And then I went to Direct Line, so big change role there. I mean, we had not for quoting, but £200 million worth of change budget a year at Direct Line. Massive. But I went from a small, we were probably about 800, 1,000 people when I left in First Central to go to Direct Line, 10,000 people. Whole different set of challenges, much more hierarchical, governance, process, procedure. I mean, they were trying to change it, to be fair, but very different, very, very different. And I led their change team in the COO directorate. So I had a team, I don't know, 100 or something, and we were delivering loads of different projects and programs, all different sizes and shapes and scales. Not that agile. We've done a little bit of agile, and then I helped set up the enterprise change function to get more efficient around how we spend our money across all of our change. And then the last thing I did at Direct Line was helped lead their agile transformation. So they did a big change to move away from large programs, large spend investments where you're doing tens of millions of pounds over 4 or 5 years, to breaking that down. We introduced a new structure, so it was a really, really big change. Some success, definitely, in some areas. It didn't universally land, and again, a good, even though it's insurance, quite a good balance of leadership. So we were the first FTSE 100, I think, or second FTSE 100, which we were at the time, to have a female CEO and a female chairperson of the board, and that did filter through. So I had some really strong female leaders there. There was an element of, it's insurance. Historically, it's been strong male leadership, but as a company, Direct Line was really balanced, and I really did enjoy the culture there. But they were also going through a big period of change, a lot of tech change, a lot of old legacy systems taking ages to change and evolve. And
the Guidewire program, didn't they, which was pretty significant.
Don't get me talking about B4C, best for customer. Oh my god. obscene amount of money. Crazy. I managed to avoid it. I did one spell. I did some B4C to do their I don't remember what I did now. Oh, it was the transition. So we were closing the program and we were transitioning it into the new agile model. So that's why I got involved. Yeah, that was tricky because we were transitioning it from ownership within a program to trying to get back more business ownership, and what did that look like, and you know, how we were going to, you know, this platform we'd spent I don't know how many years and how much money developing. How were we going to run that in the more BAU? What did that look like? What did we need for tech? What did we need? How would we get that operating model working? So yeah, I just did a little bit of spell on that, but yeah, it was yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It was a challenging program, I think. Challenging program for sure.
Yeah.
So that was my whistle stop.
No, that's amazing.
Overview. Yeah. I don't know if there's any bits that's worth picking out, but when, you know, I don't, as I said already, but I don't, even though throughout my whole career there's always been tech, there's always been digital change, there's I don't describe myself as a techie at all, but I've had teams of developers, testers, architects, but my passion is the people side of it, and growing teams and growing people to work in an effective way together to deliver whatever, you know, and that outcome can be a process change, that outcome can be, you know, raising more money to fund cancer. So I rely on experts to know what they're doing.
I think you said a really nice thing at the start, which I've written down, which is where you've started your journey, it doesn't matter. I think that's a really nice like a really nice quote. And I think, well, it'd be interesting to get your opinion on, like, has there been a shift, and especially as we're trying to, as a work together as an industry, trying to address the imbalance and the kind of lack of diversity in some tech kind of teams and tech areas. But do you think we're becoming better at removing those kind of barriers and like not scrutinizing people from maybe where they have started? Because I 100% agree with that quote, and I think hopefully we're starting to kind of make some positive steps towards like really embodying that as like an industry from a tech perspective.
Yeah, I think we are. There's always more to do though, and I think the important thing is to like tell the stories where that happens. So the other really positive experience I had when I was at Direct Line was that we did our first round of apprenticeships in the delivery team, and we had a couple of project managers who were like 18, fresh out of A-levels, didn't want to go into uni. One lady, Georgia, who particularly stands out, she was, and another chap as well, they were both amazing, but just flew, absolutely loved it, on the job. And because we were a team, I don't know how many project managers did I have, I don't know, 20, that order of magnitude. And really lucky at a senior level, the project managers that I had, portfolio managers as we called them, were very people focused about growing people. And so we brought in two apprentices, and we partnered them with some, you know, both senior people who I knew would like really look after them, look after their development, give them time, grow them. And it's so rewarding to see them flourish and grow and go on to be, not, I mean, Georgia, one of the ladies who I can still picture now, she doesn't do project management anymore. She's doing a sustainability role in Direct Line and absolutely loving it. So I think it's, we are getting better, but we could definitely do more. And I think that for me, it's about having that mentorship, that sponsorship, somebody looking out for you in your early career, that can make all the difference. And that happened to me, you know, that is those 2 or 3 people in your early and my career now who help you. And interestingly, we're recruiting for an apprentice in our people team, in our HR team. And I was just talking to James in the recruitment team this morning, and he said, what a delight to talk to these young, enthusiastic people who just want to learn, and they just want to grow, and they just want to work. And it just literally took me back to when I was 16, going, I'm just here, I'm learning, I'm keen, I'm eager, like a sponge, you know. And you don't come with any preconceived ideas of how you need to do, but you also need to help people, young people coming into the workforce, just some basic things about what is. And that's why that good mentorship buddy, you know, someone who's going to help them in those early days, is so important. So I think we are moving in the right direction, but there's more to do. And certainly within Farsight, we're exploring both our grad and fast learner recruitment, because we are also wanting to focus on like job switchers, so people who might not have started in this industry but could do more. So we're having some really interesting conversations around user research, for example, and what skills can really help in that. You don't need to be so that's one thing that we're exploring, and then also, you know, how do you get that apprentice level in at consultancy, particularly where your business is about selling your people to clients. We've got to have that really healthy pipeline starting at a, you know, entry level, people into what they need to do and be. So yeah, more to do, definitely more to do. And I do think there's so much going on around that kind of female tech space. And interestingly, again, having a daughter who's 15, totally cross her mind to go into that kind of space. So, but interestingly, you know, she's just going through all of her, you know, career conversations at school, and they have like open days and people come along and chat. And she, you know, that's what we need to be doing more of at that level as well. So it's all the way.
No, 100%. No, I think, I 100% agree. And I think having, like you said, those mentors, I think those leaders who are like you said, very people focused, kind of partnering them with kind of young, ambitious people. And I think I agree as well, not having all those kind of preconceptions, and like an idea of maybe how things have been done. Like you can obviously really kind of like shape and mold people. So I think it's massive value and a really good way to try and address diversity at a grassroots level, because I think we're probably good at, as businesses, trying to attract diverse talent which is on the market, which is amazing, and looking at unconscious bias and how our job specs are structured and our process, but there's still that big gap in terms of the tech roles that we are going to create versus the actual talent out there. So things like apprenticeships, actually grassroots, encouraging more people to get in, I think is kind of one of the answers. And
it made me think about another story there, which is I did a bit of mentoring through, you might have heard of them, charity called the Girls Network. So when I was at First Central, they partnered with them, and we were talking to like 13, 14-year-olds about their career aspirations. That was fascinating. And they came in and we did a talk. It was all, you know, again, the three females that we had at First Central at the time. And that was amazing, you know, just to get some insight. My daughter was younger at the time, as to, you know, what these girls are thinking about, what their career aspirations were and what they might do. And the couple that I mentored, and typically they are working with schools in slightly underprivileged areas as well.
That's brilliant, yeah.
So some of the insight that I got from that, hopefully I was helpful to the girl, but was just, gosh, still a load of work to do. You know, thinking about one girl, and her, you know, she wanted to she wanted to have a baby and be a mum, and that's amazing. But it's like, just opening their think, because in her family that's what everybody did, and she didn't have her mum wasn't, you know, there wasn't that role model. Somebody in her extended or immediate network who was a female career woman She didn't even know that was a thing, because that wasn't in her network, and that was eye-opening for me. So
and I think it'd be interesting. I think, like, speaking to you, the kind of passion comes across, especially where you said the kind of my passion isn't tech or digital, it's people, which you're going to think is a really nice, like, kind of quote to capture. And it'd be interesting to, like, understand from your point of view, like, you've had an incredibly successful career and obviously lots of roles and climbed your way up the kind of ladder throughout lots of different organizations, like you said, different tech transformation, different diversity from a kind of leadership perspective. But I guess for maybe aspiring female leaders, like, what do you think has enabled you to continue to be successful in lots of different environments and lots of different types of people and types of technology?
Resilience. And sometimes this wavers, like everybody, but just having the confidence to, like, give it a go. I don't know that space, I don't know that area, but I'll I'll learn, I'll grow, and if it doesn't work or if it fails, I've learned and I'll pick myself back up again. And I always had quite a strong sense of resilience, which I think really helps. I think the other side for me, and I don't think we should shy away from this at all. I think we need to grow, and I think we need to promote our strength in this is compassion for people and teams, and like a real desire to empower people and teams to work. So despite that long career I described, Marius, there are probably pockets of moments where I can think of that word perfect, and it doesn't stay perfect for long. So it changes again, and you've got to evolve again as a person. You've got to, the team evolves again. As soon as you think you've got the perfect team and everything's amazing, then someone leaves or something happens or it changes, and it's that constant being comfortable with that constant evolution of change, and but empowering. My style, I think, is to be empowering and empathetic and compassionate to people and teams, and giving them the space to grow and flourish and thrive, and be resilient. As within life, but there's ups and downs. There's moments when it's amazing and it's great, and there's other moments in my career where I'm like, I cannot work in this company or this job for a day longer. But it took me 9 months to get another job, but it's that. Okay. Yeah, but I learned so much. If I think about those periods where I learned so much when it was tough, when it was hard. That's where you learn. That's where you grow. That's where you stretch yourself, and then that gives you more experience, more stuff in your kit bag to roll out the next time it comes, because it will come. Don't know if that remotely answered your question.
No, that's absolutely. Yeah. That's really, really helpful. And was there any particular, like, female leaders that had, like, a real impact on you? And if so, is there anything particular you think that they did, which would be kind of worth, like, kind of noting, maybe for people listening or people interested as a leader, like what they can be doing is more to kind of inspire down, inspire up?
So my first is my very, very, very first boss, and she was a lady, and I was so young, but she just nurtured me. She believed in me. She, I was a teenager. I had teenage drama. She helped me with that, and I don't want to say she was a mum, because she wasn't that, but she was just. She recognized me for who I was and the age I was and the support I needed, but she also, she backed me, she let me grow, she threw stuff at me in a good way. And so, yeah, she was definitely a real, really, really strong leader for me at that stage of we sort of outgrew each other, which is kind of normal. But for that early stage, just great. And then another inspirational leader actually is another Penny James, who was ex-CEO of Direct Line. We worked not super closely together, but we definitely interacted. But I really aspired to how she led the company, and I looked up to her around her, just her style, the way she engaged people, how open she was, and inclusive. So, very different levels of the spectrum around female leadership. And the other example, which I've used already, but how you need to help each other. So that group of 3 women that we had when I was at First Central, we became a force, right, together. Like independently, we wouldn't have done it, but we became a force together, and the rest of the organization recognized it, and they would see us as that unit of a force, and I really valued that female network at that level, all of us trying to push the change that was needed. So I'm just trying to think, and I don't want to just focus on female leadership. I've had some really, really good male leaders who've supported me, helped me, challenged me, and I can think of somebody at Cancer Research UK, Exec Director of Fundraising, really, really super guy. And one thing that he talked about that I still use today is in a kind of leadership capacity, and when creating teams, is having that high support, high challenge.
That's interesting.
And he was brilliant at it. So I always felt, and he created an amazing leadership team. And I think about those perfect moments. We had when I was in fundraising, Cancer Research UK, amazing leadership team. And as a leader, Richard created that because you felt safe, you felt heard, you felt listened to, but you could also challenge. And we grew as individuals and as a team because he created that. So those are sort of people that stand out to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then maybe it'd be good just to touch on as well, I guess, like Farsight, the current role, and obviously an amazing business, but an amazing business kind of with a very diverse leadership team. So yeah, it'd be interesting maybe to hear like what stood out about Farsight, and I guess like some of the great things that kind of business is up to now, and like maybe some of the like plans for the future.
Yeah, so I no intentions of joining Farsight whatsoever. I reached out to Charlotte because we worked together 10 years ago. We've maintained a relationship which has always been really, really strong, really fantastic. I've been a client of Farsight because I've used its services. So yeah, totally reached out to say, I really know I need to leave Direct Line. What do you reckon? Have you got any contacts? I know she's always got contacts in various places. And then we simply started a conversation, and then the rest is history, as they say. So what was great, and what is great about Farsight is, for me anyway, like we sort of shaped the role around, well, what could you do? Could we do this? Could we do that? And I love that diversity in the role that I've got at Farsight, because I've got lots of change experience, but previous HR experience. All of that comes into the mix in my role that I do now. But the thing I'm most excited about in the role is just being part of the wider leadership team growing the business. And what does that look like, and getting the right culture and dynamic as you grow. Because when I joined, what were we, 40? We're over 100 now. So somewhere in that order of magnitude. So you've got to work hard at keeping and evolving the culture that you want. And I think leadership and values plays a really strong role in that. So being able to help steer that and help grow the company in a way that is true to our values is really exciting and really interesting. And how can I bring my previous experience and knowledge to the mix, but just be really flexible and fluid and adaptable, and have that constant evolving view of our organization and how it's changing and how it's growing. So yeah, it's and in terms of the leadership, you know, it's you know, great to be part of a, you know, we're now going to be more balanced, but still having that. Yeah, I think what comes through in some of our values is partly because of the diverse leadership team that we have, and we've grown our not just our female leadership, but our female count overall in our recent D&I survey. So that's just great to see, and I think that helps because, you know, if I'm looking for a role and I go on to the Exco team and I see it's all not the type of people that I want, other people will be doing that when they come to join Farsight, and they can see the diversity, which is great.
No, that's brilliant. And if you were to speak to like 16-year-old Penny now, what sort of things would you say?
God, oh my God, I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question. Continue to work hard. Don't be afraid. Give it a go. Learn. I guess don't be fixed on a path. So and no way at 16, 18, 21 did I think I'd be here doing this. Like, no idea. And it doesn't always have to be upwards, is the other thing in terms of your career growth. And I personally, I found that, even though I say it, still quite, I think there's this sense of I've got to go onwards, upwards, earn more money, get a bigger title, and actually, as I get older, that becomes less important, much less important, and it is much more around surrounding yourself with people that you like working with and doing work that you really enjoy. So that's probably what I'd say.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah. Super.
Just realised I put. Is that all right? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.